And welcome back to another edition of the Thompson's Comic Corner. I messed up my own name. It happens. I am your host, Zach, and every episode, you never know who's going to be here. Last week, I had Erica Schultz. She's awesome. This week, I have a guy who, if you haven't heard, he has two really good podcasts. One that's been going on for 6 years. The other one he just started, and one is dark and broody, and the other one is the glimmer of hope. And that is Anthony from Digging for Kryptonite. And I'm gonna mess up the Batman one. It's the Bat Signal.
Lighting the bat signal. There you
There
go.
it is.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for reading my email. So
No, of course, I appreciate you reaching out, and this will be a nice change of pace for me. I've talked a lot about various Loeb sale pairings, but it's been a while since I've talked about this specific work or reread it, so this will be a lot of fun.
so we are reading Daredevil Yellow, which is by far um this was my number one book that I ever read. This was my favorite. And then I read X-Men's God Loves Man Kills. And I'm sorry, but it blew this book way out there. So, but this is a great number two book, I promise.
Fair enough. I'm actually more curious where Daredevil Yellow falls within Loeb and Sale's color series for you out of the four that they did.
Oh, it's number one, and then Spider-Man's number two, and then
Same.
Captain America's three, and I'm sorry, but Hulk's four, because they didn't change enough in that back. So it's literally just Hulk. They do some tweaking in all the other three except Hulk. It's still just the same story.
Interesting. Okay. So for me, I do put Spider Man Blue at the top, Daredevil Yellow, a very close second. And then historically, I've held up Hulk Gray over Cap White, but I'm due for a reread of those as well. So we'll see where they ultimately land.
Yeah, so and we were talking pre-game before we record that I didn't know that they did an X-Men story, the Gambit and Wolverine, which by the way, I'm probably gonna put on somebody to read on the show with me and we're gonna review it because it's really good. If you've never read it, go read it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Loeb and Sale, iconic pairing. And unfortunately, now with Sale's untimely passing, there won't be any new projects. And so when you look back at what they've done, it's a substantial amount of projects, but still it's not infinite. So there's only so many, and we all I think gravitate towards this color series for all seasons, the long Halloween saga, rightfully so. They're all amazing. But yeah, then when you look at something like the Wolverine Gambit miniseries or Challengers of the Unknown, their first pairing at DC, there are these hidden gems out there, and especially for people who love this team but haven't explored everything, those are some deeper cuts that they might enjoy.
Yeah, I really thought that X-Men book was fun. Like it was such a breeze to read. Same with this, like Daredevil Yellow. People, how do I put this? If you want to introduce somebody to Daredevil and give them like a good jump on point, you could do Man Without Fear. That's a great jump on point. You could do, technically, if you wanted to, you could do 181 to 184, which is the death of Elektra and the first Punisher, or you could give them Daredevil Yellow. It's pretty close to like the original, Stan Lee version of Daredevil's origin story. You get all the rogues from the original like first six books. So
Yeah, very true. I mean, it's funny. I say this all the time about For All Seasons that if I had to give that not just to a new Superman reader, but just someone new to comics, like if my mother said, I really want to read a Superman book, I'd be blown away. And I'd probably give For All Seasons because, yeah, it's this emotional telling. We're not really dealing with the comic book mythology or continuity. And I feel similarly about this. I mean, I think any of those other examples you cited would be perfectly fine jumping on points for Daredevil, but this one in particular because you're really looking at the person and this lost love and this history and his relationship with his father. So I think just on a human level, this gives you the comic book trappings that we all enjoy, but it's also I think concerned about something like I said, just more personal and deeper than the typical story. So yeah, I mean, I think this would be a perfect first book.
now this book, it takes place. it's a backstory, but I'm assuming that we're squeaking this in probably Marvel Knights time. I'm gonna assume that's what we're guessing because this came out in like 2002, right?
I think 2001, or at least it started in 2001. So yeah, the Marvel Knights series was already underway at that point because I think that started in 98.
Yeah,
And I mean,
so
I remember, it's funny, I was trying to remember the shop. I was at a store in New York City, not my regular store, but we were in the city, and I think it was Jim Hanley's Universe, unless I'm mixing it up with with another shop. But I remember seeing, I think it was just the first issue at that point, or maybe the first two on the stands. And I was still early in my Daredevil reading, but I had at least read Guardian Devil, and I was into the Marvel Knight series, and this really caught my eye. And yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of it from the jump, from when I got those initial issues off the stands. And I mean, I can't say I've reread it a ton of times, but you know, maybe a handful of times over the years, and it always packs a punch, pun intended. And this time was no different. It was a lot of fun to go back and read again.
I've probably reread this book maybe 4 times total, and I think about it, the book that I've probably read the most is Batman: The Long Halloween. That's my Grail book. That's the best book ever. I don't care. Nobody can tell me that that's not the best Batman story. And I find it funny that both those books I've read multiple times is from the same pairing. And that shows the longevity of those two working together. Now, Tim Sale didn't really do a lot of interiors. Am I right? Like, I know he did a bunch of covers. I have a really badass Magneto one that he did, but I don't think that he did very many interiors. So like he did it with Jeff Loeb, and I mean this was like Jeff Loeb's like top of his game.
Yeah, so two things. One, I agree. I think this is Loeb and Sale at the height of their powers doing this miniseries. So it's really just gorgeous to look at and a wonderful read. But then, yeah, to your point, I mean, I'd have to pull up Tim Sale's bibliography to confirm. But yeah, I mean, the vast majority of his interior comic book work were the projects he did with Jeff Loeb. There wasn't a ton beyond that. The biggest example that comes to mind is the Kryptonite miniseries, a six-parter, not miniseries. It was part of Superman Confidential, but it was a six-part story that Darwin Cook wrote and Tim Sale drew. So that's, you know, I guess for people who really love this pairing and are craving more from Tim Sale, that's still in a similar vein. That's another one I would recommend.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. That
Yeah,
actually
that's a
sounds like
fun
something
one.
I might need to read. I like Darwin Cook's what was that Justice League book he did?
Oh, the New Frontier. Yeah, that's an all
Yes.
time favorite. Yeah, Kryptonite is cool because it's a story set in the past, and it's about Superman's first encounter with Kryptonite. So it's all about how he's at a point early on where he doesn't know the limits of his invulnerability. So it's like he goes to stop a volcano eruption, and it's like he doesn't know if that's going to kill him or not. Like he's continuing to test his limits. Nothing seems to be hurting him, and then he encounters kryptonite. So it's you know, definitely worth a read, especially if you enjoy those creators.
Well, that's on my radar now. So you can buy this book in a trade paperback that came out, I want to say a year ago, 2 years ago. They reprinted it. Before that, this book was a pain in the ass to find. And it was really expensive because it was out of um, print. So now it's more affordable. You can get it. I think it's 17.99. It might be 19.99. If you have Marvel Unlimited, you can get it. Or the single issues are all very affordable. So usually when I try to pick a book, I try to get something that, the listeners can go pick up and it's just real easy and it's accessible. Maybe we'll get this in a Marvel compact that they're starting to do. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly deserves that treatment. Interesting. I wasn't aware that it was that hard to come by. I guess I'm not shocked. I'm glad now that they've reissued it. I have the standard size hardcover that they did years and years ago. I mean, I've had it for a really long time, so I'm glad I have that and that I held on to it.
Yeah, that hardcover was like $50 at one point for no reason, just because it was out of print.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I have the
yep. So
first three color books in that hardcover format, and then I haven't owned Cap White in physical form, and I was like, well, I got to complete the set. So earlier today, I went on eBay and I ordered the hardcover. Still shrink wrap, so that should be coming. So I'll complete my 4 volume set.
this is the only one I got. I have the 6 individual issues that I had to piece together from 2 shops where I live. So that shows you how much I hunted those books down. I made it a they were on my list. You know, that list that everybody has. Now it's CLZ, but you know, back in the day, 32 years old, here we used to have to write shit down on a list.
It's funny. A quick tangent, but one of my buddies from the old comic shop, I think he's kind of fallen out of comics by now, but for a while he had this long list of Marvel books in particular that he wanted to track down. You know, we all have our back issue lists and everything, but I mean his was wildly ambitious. I mean, just like early issues of all of the core series like Fantastic Four and Amazing Spider-Man. But it was what was funny to me was how he had it all written out. It's like, bro, I think if you get your hands on FF1, you'll know. You know, it's like I think certain things transcend the list. But anyway, I always think of that.
Hey, I held an Amazing Fantasy 15 in my hands for about 3 minutes, and I said, "Here, just take it back. I can't afford that." So,
I held an Action One a few years ago, and it that was a very special. I mean, there was no thought at all that it wasn't for purchase, but I just had the opportunity to hold it, and it was really special. Like you really feel like you're holding the history. Like I think beforehand, if you had told me, "Oh, it'll be a special experience," I probably would have rolled my eyes. But then in that moment, as I was holding it, it's like, wow, it's one thing to look at a reprint or to look at it digitally, but to actually hold the real thing, there was something to it.
nah, dude, you're a brave man. I'm a bull in a china shop. No way am I ever holding. Nope. Mm-mm.
Well, it
I
was
wouldn't even be able.
fully. I mean, it was fully slabbed in CGC. I mean, so it was protected.
Yeah, but yeah, and then you crack that slap. Nope, nope. I couldn't even afford to get a loan to even try to pay half that. Oof. But anywho, all right. We gotta get back to Daredevil Yellow. Give it its flowers. The 2 cents about this book is that Foggy gives Matt the idea that he needs to write a letter and so he writes the letter to Karen, even though she's deceased. And if you read the Colors series, you'll see the same idea with the Spider-Man, except he's doing a tape, which I really like that idea. It's really clever. But so he's writing this letter to Karen and he's going over like his whole like first year pretty much of being Daredevil. Now, the big difference in this series is that Matt's dad dies when he's in college. That's probably the biggest difference. And it's also he doesn't die fighting for the title. He dies the match before. So those are probably like the two biggest things I think of. Like when you think of like the main like Frank Miller uh Man Without Fear story that everybody thinks about. And he's just pretty much just going through like the first time he met Karen, and it's just really beautiful. And it's so beautifully told. And Tim Sale's art is just so much fun. And I do, all right, time to get on my soapbox for a second, my tangent. For Superman for All Seasons with George, I told all of you that are listening that Tim Sale's women all look the same. Okay. Well, I can finally say that this one does not look the same. Karen Page does not look like any of the previous women that he's drawn. And I love it. I'm so happy for it. Now, I can't remember what Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane looks like in Blue and Betty from Hulk. I can't remember. I'll have to reread those. But for right now, he has a woman that does not look the same as everybody else.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest things that I took from this book was like I'm looking, I'm scoping this out differently. And that was one of the biggest things. I'm like, man, I just got to say that because I'm sure people were probably giving me shit for that. So
But yeah,
guaranteed.
I mean, it's a beautiful book, and yeah, I mean, like you laid out, you have that wonderful framing device, and it elevates it beyond just, oh, he's looking back at his first year. The fact that it's fueled by the loss of Karen in the present, and so it's this lost love, and not just the loss of her, but so much of this is about his father as well, and what they learned from each other, and all of that. So I'm also a huge Rocky fan. So anytime we're in a boxing scenario, and these adages about the true measure of a man lies not in how he gets knocked down, but in how he gets back up. Like I'm there for all of that. So I think that's the thing. I think the hook of this, yeah, is looking back at this doomed romance with Karen and how it started, but But yeah, there's so much more. Obviously, the early days of his Daredevil career, but yes, also everything to do with his father as well. So, and his relationship with Foggy, the unsung hero of it all. So yeah, it's a wonderful book.
And they also gave us the Matador, which is one of my favorite like goofy rogues gallery villains. So that part made me happy. And he drew him pretty good. So I mean, I ain't mad about it. And Electro, I like the Electro issue, which I believe is four, when he's like, man, this is the first like super villain that I've ever had to fight. Now, I will say the character design that I don't like, and I just don't think I care for the character, like even on today's standards, is the owl. I really don't like that design, and I really don't like it from like 98 and up. So like the old school, like original 19, what, 65, 64, it's okay, it's fine, but like whatever this was, that's Tim Sale's worst character design.
So I won't fight you on that. I'm the design I could take or leave, but I think this is the if I have one critique about Daredevil Yellow, because I really do enjoy it. And by the way, as far as the whole color series idea, it's like here it's Daredevil in the yellow costume from those early appearances before he dons the red. Hulk gray in a similar vein. Obviously, with Spider-Man, blue was more about the mood, the feeling, the sense of sorrow. Like he had the blues. But so we have that kind of as our setup here. But if I have one critique, and I still have it after this reread, is I don't get the owl's motivation in this, in kidnapping Karen Page after Foggy and Matt have agreed to represent him legally. And I know Matt, as he's listening, he overhears Karen essentially questioning the owl while she's being held hostage. And he has some bit about how like this will allow him to exert control over Murdoch. But it's like I could see if Matt and Foggy turned him away and said we can't represent you, or they lost a case for him or something like that, and then he was going to strike back through Karen. But it felt weirdly unnecessary that he would have abducted this woman. Am I missing something? Like what's your read on that?
It's the same thing with the lady that comes in beforehand, like the damsel in distress. It makes no sense because the owl comes in right after. Like it literally makes no sense.
Right? I mean, I don't know. Like I've not read those original original Daredevil stories from back in the day. I basically started with the Frank Miller era, but I mean, I don't know if this was a pull from a specific issue from back in the day and a specific story they were referencing, or if not, if it was the case that they were initially planning to go in a different direction and then they pivoted in between those two issues. I don't know, but it's that's the one piece of this that reads very odd to me.
Yeah, no, you're actually really like hitting the nail on the head with that. It is the biggest critique I guess we could give the book is like this goofy little part where they do introduce the owl, because everybody else is pretty fluent, like the Matador or Electro. I really like the Electro part because that's his first time taking on like a back in the day, Electro used to be A-list top tier villain. I mean, now he's pretty much just on the back burner. Nobody really, they don't do anything with him in the comic books anymore. I mean, hell, they don't really do anything with Spider-Man. That's one of Marvel's biggest blunders in the last 10 years. And you get Matt's like he's like, man, like he's pushing me to my limits. And it literally takes him everything, like almost near death to defeat Electro. So, and it's really nice to see that. And you see a struggle and he tells you. And it's like my favorite, we're jumping straight to the end at this point. My favorite part is for years, nobody the real reason why Daredevil's suit went from yellow to red was because Wally Wood thought that that suit was ugly as hell and he changed it to red on his own. And Stan Lee said, that's fine, you can do that. But now you got to change him in this. I forget what the other book was because you had Daredevil 7 and there was another book that he crossovered in and they had to change the suit in that book. And Wally Wood was like, done, game. So now they give you a backstory, the reason why he chose red, which we'll get to. There's another critique I have of this. He changed the suit red because it was Karen's favorite color. I love it. Don't hate it. I love it. But now here's my question, sir. And this is really funny. He's writing a letter to Karen Page. I understand that he's not going to send this letter, obviously, but I understand that he has super senses. But how the hell is Matt writing a letter? Explain this to me. I thought about this after rereading it, and I had to bring it up because it's funny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know, interestingly, it's like the device that they would use for Spider-Man in Blue, like speaking into a tape recorder. Arguably,
Yes,
they could have flipped them, but I mean, I don't know various, assistance devices that are available for the blind that he could be utilizing. But also, it's like he's got the enhanced senses anyway. So
right.
because I,
So is
right,
this
because like he can feel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the way his enhanced senses work, it's like he doesn't even necessarily need braille per se. He's so sensitive that he could feel just the raised ink on a page, right?
yeah,
So I can buy that, I guess.
I guess, but yeah, now thinking about that, yeah, it would have been made more sense to give Daredevil the tape recorder and give Spider-Man the write the letter, which granted, go read Spider-Man Blue and then come back to us. Because that's a beautiful story too. That one, granted, I think I like Daredevil better than Spider-Man, and I love Spider-Man. I hold him near and dear to like my comic book journey. Like Marvel Tales is what got me into this. So back when they were 50 cents and a dollar, not like $10 and $20 now. So, but I'm
Yeah.
biased. So Daredevil, that's why yellow is ahead of blue. Even though blue is probably it's beautiful. It's a masterpiece. It's perfect.
No, I understand, but I am with you. I like the electro bit because that's the point in time where Matt he's donned the costume and he's sought out justice slash retribution for the murder of his father. But this is the point where he's deciding, like, well, is this just something that I do now? Right? Like I put it on for a specific purpose. This is not that purpose. What am I doing here? So I kind of like that he was questioning that as he was pursuing it. And one other thing we're talking about his blindness and senses and everything. I thought the book, especially through that narration, did a nice job of kind of showing you that at work. I mean, there are a lot of descriptions of what he's smelling and hearing and things like that. And so it really kind of showed how everything was amplified for him. So I like that.
Yeah. Again, I think I always say Mark Wade has never written a bad story. I feel like that's fair. But I feel like that also like Jeff Loeb hasn't really written a bad story.
I mean, there are some readers of Ultimates 3 and Hush 2 that might beg to differ.
I'm just gonna pretend. All right, so you know how Sam Raimi only made two Spider-Man movies?
You know what? I believe it or not, I'm actually, well, I don't know if I want to go so far as to say I'm a defender of Spider-Man 3, but I feel like it gets a bad rap. And if you've never seen the editor's cut of 3, I really recommend it. It smooths out a number of issues. So I used to really look down on that, and I thought back to my experience watching it at the theater. I revisited it a few years ago for another podcast and watched the editor's cut. I have a much more positive view of it now. I've made my peace with it. So in my mind, no, he made his 3 films.
Oh, all right, I'll let you stand on that hill, but I'm not standing with you. That is one of my least favorite um superhero movies ever. Um, and I give the Tobey Maguire dance all the credit in the world. They even put that in Fortnite. Like that's awesome. I'll give it that. But other than that, no, that movie don't exist. But that's how Hush 2 is to me. Is I okay, I'm one of the guys I got suckered into it. I bought the hype. Hush is quite possibly one of the best modern day Batman books. That's fine. Hush 2, not so much. Not so much. I was really let down by it, and I understand like the whole like time period. Like Jim Lee had some health concerns. That's fine. That ain't got nothing to do with that story, brother. That's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm I guess I don't feel as angrily towards Hush 2 as I know some other fans do. Although it's I still feel like if and when we get part 2 of that story as we're promised, there's the potential to land the plane. Whether or not they will, I don't, we'll see. But I'll keep an open mind. But all to say that yeah, with Loeb. and I haven't yet read the last Halloween. I'll be getting to that very shortly, but yeah, I mean, I think there's sort of a range. I think fans would probably agree about that. But yeah, like we were saying before, I mean, you go back to this book and these color books and Long Halloween and For All Seasons. I mean, like these guys were just firing on all cylinders at this point.
Yeah, and Jeff Loeb also just did a one shot, the Wonder Woman story that takes place in the Hush time frame, like in the time, yeah, in that time. And it's so good. And I'm like, brother, if you would have put that same energy in Hush 2, I would have been perfectly okay. So like that's why I don't even count it. Like I'm like, all right, Hush 2, that never happened in my like that's my Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3. Like it never happened. It don't exist. And everything that I've read, other than Hush 2, I've really liked by Jeff Loeb. So like in my brain, he's the same, like on the same level as Mark Waid. And now Mark Waid has his haters out there, but for me, everything that I've read again, and I've read some obscure things that he's read or written, but I really genuinely believe that he's never written like a bad book. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, no, big Wade fan here as well.
so Jeff Loeb is in that same like I call that like that would be like your super tier. Like those are like your top of the top writers. And he deservingly so needs to get his flowers, especially for, like I said, like the long Halloween, 4 seasons, all 4 seasons, Jesus. Uh the color books. I mean, the man could have retired at that point and been done. He also did Dark Victory, which is the sequel to Long Halloween, the last Halloween, which is not as good as the Long Halloween, but hey, it's better than Hush 2. So give the man his flowers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, and even, even for anyone who feels like he's fallen off with more recent projects, again, I still think these really hold up, and they're emotionally resonant. They really do conjure a reaction. Again, as he's reminiscing about his father and these this early meeting with Karen, and like I said, Foggy as well, and how they're getting the law firm off the ground. So yeah, I mean, man, I keep saying it, but it's. I mean, for anyone listening to this, like, oh, hasn't read it or any of the other Color series books, well worth a read.
Yeah, it's well worth the 9.99 for Marvel Unlimited. I'm not sponsored by them, but come on, damn it. Help me out. Get me out there. Get me monetized by Marvel. That'd be great. All jokes aside, you can go buy this book. It's very affordable. It's on Amazon. Like I said, I think it's in like the $20 range, somewhere in that ballpark. Again, single issues are all like probably about $3 a piece. I think that's what I paid for mine. So it's what, 5 issues, 6 issues, 6 issues. And what, that's $18. So, I mean, you're still getting trade paperback prices. So go get it. I'm telling you to get it. Anthony here's telling you to get it. Go get that shit. For real. Good book. So now that we're coming to like towards the end of the show, I'm going to let Anthony talk about his podcast because I'm a fan of it and I want you to be a fan of it too.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I do a Superman show every week. It's called Digging for Kryptonite, a Superman fan journey, and we cover the character across time and media. We crossed episode 250 relatively recently, so we've been going for a while. If there's anything within the realm of Superman you're interested in, chances are we've covered it or we'll be covering it soon. And then I recently launched a Batman show called Lighting the Bat Signal, a Batman fan journey that comes out monthly. And just like with the Superman show, it's kind of mining my fandom with these characters, going back to the stories that I've loved, going back to things I didn't love the first time around, but looking at them with fresh eyes. And a big piece of it is filling in gaps in my fandom because when we're talking about characters who have been around for close to a century, next to impossible, unless you're Mark Waid, to have read and watched every single thing. So we all have gaps, and I've been closing them, and it's been a lot of fun. So Digging for Kryptonite and Lighting the Bat Signal, available wherever you get podcasts. And you can connect on social media via the Digging for Kryptonite social media channels on all the major platforms. So I hope people will check it out. And yeah, man, thanks so much for having me.
All right. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening to the show. Again, thank you, Anthony, for being on. And as I always say, peace out, Cub Scout.